Namaste, good morning everybody. Welcome back to another Meandering Yogi and another edition of Rigger's Reviews. Today, very quickly, I'm going to go over the Cobalt battery system. This is the 40 volt system. I have three of these batteries. All three of these batteries, and actually I have three batteries and three chargers, and they're all 3 years old. I get asked a lot of questions. I'm going to go over the 9 most asked questions about the batteries and how they operate. And then quickly at the end I'll give you my review on these batteries and what I think of them. So without further ado, let's get to it. So the number one question I get asked is, how long does it take to charge a Cobalt 40 volt battery? And my answer is, depending on the 40 volt battery you have, and I'll explain that to you, there is, if you look on these batteries, you have here a 2.5, yeah, and then you also have a 5.0 AH, and I'll explain that AH. That actually comes up in another question. But the 2.5, you're going to look at somewhere between 50 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes for a full charge, and then on the 5.0 it's going to take you another 20 minutes or so, so you're looking at probably an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. And these things are based on how hot it is, you know, how dead the battery is, if it's completely dead or not. But generally speaking, if you've got the 2.5 series, you're looking at somewhere between 50 minutes, you might get away with 45 minutes sometimes, but somewhere between 50 minutes and say an hour and 10 minutes. That's pretty much average. The 5.0, you might as well figure an hour and a half is going to be pretty much an average time to get that one charged up. Yeah? So that's question number one. Question number two, how long does the charge last on a Cobalt 40 volt battery? So again, we're getting back into this AH number, yeah? And we'll get into that here in a minute. But if you have the 2.5 series, you're looking at about 45 minutes on run time, and this is talking a brand new battery, fully charged brand new battery. You should be able to get 45 minutes run time out of it. Again, it depends on situations, and I'll explain that in a little bit. And then on the 5.0 battery, which is also 40 volt, you're going to get almost double that. So you're probably going to get an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half run time out of that battery from a fully charged, and we're talking a brand new battery, yeah? Question number 3, are all Cobalt 40 volt tools, chargers, and batteries interchangeable? The answer is yes, they are. So if you have a 40 volt weed eater and you have a 40 volt mower, but you only have one battery that maybe came with the weed eater and your mower battery went bad, that battery will run in your mower, or the mower will run in your weed eater, and vice versa. If you have a blower, a chainsaw, anything you have that's a 40 volt system, it will work. Okay, again, we're going to get into those numbers, and these numbers mean something. I'll explain that in a minute. But that 5.0 AH and that 2.5 AH, or you might have a 3 AH, a 6 AH, there's different numbers for that. And if that's the case, then it's still going to fit in, as long as it's a 40 volt and it's Cobalt, it'll work. Question number 4, and this is a good one. What's the total life expectancy of a Cobalt 40 volt battery? Well, myself, I know for a fact these are 3 years old. Actually, they're a little over 3 years old, and they are still completely compatible with a new battery. They haven't, well, actually I have one battery that I think is starting to get weak, yeah? And again, this is over 3 years. The life expectancy, from the way I understand it and what I've read, is somewhere between 3 to 5 years, and I've heard tale that some have gotten much longer, but I think that depends on how you use the battery. There's proper ways to run your equipment, and there is wrong ways to run your equipment. If you're running it properly, obviously everything is going to last a little longer. Question number 5. Can I leave my Kobalt 40-volt battery on a charger, or should it be taken off after it's charged? You want to take your batteries off the charge. Well, you want to unplug it. You don't necessarily have to take it off the charger. You can leave it there and store it there just fine. But once your battery is charged, you do want to unplug it. Reason being, if you leave it plugged in, it will eventually wear that battery down. It's kind of like charging your phone back up before it doesn't need to be charged. You kind of take that memory span from that battery. You understand what I'm saying? So it's the same way if you've got that battery plugged in constantly, it's always kind of fading down and being charged, fading down, being charged, and it's going to weaken that battery system. Yeah? So as soon as your battery's charged, or just after your battery's charged, unplug it. It's the best thing for the battery. Okay, question number 6. And this one this is probably one of the most asked questions of all. What is the difference in the Kobalt 40-volt AH numbers, meaning this AH 2.5 and this AH 5.0, and there are different levels. These are only the two that I have, but there's also an AH6, AH4, there's other AH numbers. And what the AH stands for is amp hours. Yeah. So for example, this is a 2.5, so the amp hours are 2.5, and the amp hours is basically a measuring tool on how much power, or how long that battery is going to last after it's been charged. So they say, and I agree with them, this is on this 2.5 AH, which is amp hour. So if you have a 2.5, the average run time after this battery is fully charged is going to be about 45 minutes. Again, depending on how you run in the situation that the workload is being put under. But on average, this battery should get you about 45 minutes. Okay, so that's the time, that's the value that they put on that 2.5. Now, if you double 2.5, you get a 5.0. Same with the time that it's going to hold that charger. It's going to be a usable battery. Now you've gained another 40-45 minutes of power time, running time, by having that 5.0. Now, mind you, you'll notice this in price as well. If you go to buy a brand new battery, hence the 2.5, I believe they're going for about $80 at the time of this video. Whereas if you go buy a 5.0 battery, then I believe you're going to be paying about $149. So it's not quite double in price. Actually, you get a little more value for buying that 5.0, and honestly, there is a good reason to have it. Now, what happened in my case, I bought the weed eater, I bought the blower, and I bought the lawnmower. And I bought them separately, but at the same time, basically. And by doing that, I got 3 chargers and I got 3 batteries. Now, the blower and the weed eater, they don't take as much, or need as much, I should say, power-wise, as the mower does, because the mower has got the self-propelled system on there, and if you use that, it's really pulling a lot more power out of that mower. So the 2.5 batteries will work just fine in the lawnmower, but your run time will be cut in half compared to having a 5.0. Alright? Question number 7. How do I store my Kobalt 40-volt battery? Alright, so here's the deal. If you're going to be, if you're putting your batteries away for 3 or 4 months, if you're in an area where you're going to be, it's winter time, don't leave them in the garage. You don't want to have them out in the cold. So bring those batteries in. They should be stored at room temperature. You want to fully charge them. So once they're fully charged, unplug the unit and leave it in your home somewhere 70, 75 degrees. It's beautiful. That's perfect. That's what a battery wants to be. And again, don't leave them in your garage, because it will end up pulling them. And make sure you charge them fully before you store them. And that leads me to question number 8. And this has been a question many times and many people have asked. And I think it's based on people used to take their little AA batteries and put them in the freezer to try and get them a little more charged. But Anyway, hence, let me ask, the question for number 8 is, does it hurt to freeze my Cobalt 40 volt battery? And I know that may seem, I don't mean to laugh, because it's really not funny, and you know, some people really need to know. But no, you do not want to freeze a lithium battery. If you freeze this battery, the batteries operate on a chemical combination inside, okay, or chemical reaction inside. And if you freeze it, it slows that chemical reaction down to the point that if you freeze it long enough, it will actually destroy the battery. So do not freeze these batteries. Actually, they run better and operate better at higher temperatures. So you'll notice that sometimes if you're mowing in a very hot day, you'll get a lot more running time out of that battery than you would if you were out, maybe say on a 45-degree morning, you know, in a real cool morning. Your battery won't last quite as long as if it would if you were out there at 95-degree weather, sweating your buttons off and mowing. Alright, here's a real good one too. Question number 9. What does the red light mean on the Cobalt charger? Well, let me tell you. I want to go over a few things on this charger. Alright, I'll run you down here real quick. If you look at this charger, and I know sometimes the way they do these graphics don't always make sense, but on the bottom of the charger right here, I don't know if you guys can see this clearly in the camera or not, but you've got a battery picture here, and it's showing half of a silver battery. It's half silver, half black, and it's got a little arrow coming up. And what that stands for is that the battery's charging. Underneath that, you've got the green oblong circle with the little pinpoints out, green pinpoints out around it. Okay, and that's supposed to be meaning that it's flashing. So if your green light is on and it's flashing, then your battery is charging. And that's all. That's what that means. Yeah. Now if you step up to the next one, now you don't have any black in that battery picture. It's all silver, and you've got just the solid green line. Yeah. And that solid green line is just a representation that this battery is fully charged now. Okay, so when you see it blinking, you know it's charging. When it's solid, you know it's not, it's completely charged. Alright, the next one up, you've got just the red oblong line. Okay, so and then you've got a picture of the battery fully, it's showing fully charged, but whether it's charged or not is really, and that means nothing at the moment. The fact is, it's supposed to be a thermostat on the top of it for temperature. So if you plug your battery in and it comes on and it's red and it's not flashing, that means your battery's too hot. And basically again, if you're out on that 95-degree day and the sun's beating down on your mower and you're out there mowing and your battery goes dead, you go to plug it in. When you put it in the charger, it just shows a red light, and it's just a solid red light. It's not flashing, it's just solid red. And what it's telling you is the battery's too hot to try to charge right now. So you need to take the battery back out of the charger and let it set. You might let it set 5 minutes. You might have to let it set for 15 minutes. If you've got a fan out there running in the garage, or you got a little fan or something, you may want to put that on there to cool it off a little quicker. Put it in the shade where it's breezy. Anything you can do to just cool that battery down a little bit. And then once it's cooled down, you should be able to plug it in and it'll go to flashing green and let you know that it's charging. You've got a picture of the battery with the X's running through it, and you've got a flashing red light symbol. And what that's telling you is your battery is more than likely no good any longer. It can't be charged and it needs to be replaced. Yeah? Now, while we're on the subject of this charger, if at some point you go to try to put a battery in there and you're not getting any light, right? Well, of course, you want to make sure that you're plugged in. You want to make sure that the outlet you're plugged into is working properly. Maybe plug another tool or another, whatever you might have that's electric, plug that in, make sure it's working. Secondly, there are 4 silver prongs right here, and occasionally these things can get something on them. It could be as small as something really dusty, just a, you know, if you might have been in there doing something in the garage and got it real dusty or dirty, and excuse me. So occasionally you might have to take like an alcohol and a swab, yeah, or a Q-tip, and just clean those tips, yeah. And when you do clean those tips, go ahead while you got that alcohol and the tips are a little wet, and just run your battery in and out of your prongs, because that'll help clean the inside where that actually contacts. Alright, I think that's pretty much it for the charger. And while we're on the subject, I will also show you that on the front of these batteries, I think you can see this in the camera, but there is a strip right here, and they sell most of the batteries you buy now, the little Duracell batteries, things like that. You can push a little spot on them and it'll show how much charge it is. Well, this is kind of got the same thing. There's a button here, you push that button and these strips will light up. There's 4 strips there to let you know just how much charge you have left in your battery, in case you've got one sitting out and you didn't know if you had it on charge, or and you just want to check before you go to put it into something as to whether it's charged or not. You can quickly look at that before you walk back out to wherever you're going to get back to your equipment. Alright gang, question number 10, what do I think about the Cobalt 40 volt battery system? Well, 2 thumbs up. I give it a 10 on a scale 1 to 10. I've had this equipment over 3 years. I've got 2 other videos you can check out, guys. One of them shows me operating all these, doing this huge yard, and the second one shows how to string this weed eater, and it's a really good video. So you can check those out. I'll link them below. Otherwise, thank you so much for being with me today. If you gained anything from this video, please mash that like button, and you're welcome to subscribe. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.